The house that remembers, the true horror of Amityville. They say some houses breathe. That their walls soak in sorrow, and their floors echo the weight of every footstep from the past. At 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York, the house didn't just remember, it whispered. A stately Dutch colonial with quarter-moon windows and a crisp lawn, it might have passed for a dream home. But what lurked inside would become the nightmare that America couldn't forget. It began in blood. On the night of November 13, 1974, silence fell unusually heavy over the DeFeo house. That silence would be the only witness to one of the most disturbing family massacres in American history. Ronald "Butch" DeFeo Jr., 23, moved through the house with a .35 caliber Marlin rifle. Room by room, methodically, he shot his parents, Ronald Sr. and Louise, then his younger siblings, Dawn, 18, Allison, 13, Mark, 12, and John Matthew, 9. All were found in their beds, lying face down. No signs of a struggle. No neighbors heard screams or even gunshots. It was as if the house itself had swallowed the noise. When Butch stormed into Henry's bar the next morning yelling, "You've got to help me. I think my mother and father have been shot," no one imagined the full extent of the horror. The police found all 6 family members dead, their bodies still warm. Butch appeared distraught, shaken. At first, he claimed a mob hitman had killed his family, someone connected to his father's alleged mafia dealings. But the cracks in his story widened quickly. Investigators found no sign of forced entry. The rifle used had no silencer, yet no one heard a thing. Forensics indicated all victims were killed as they slept, each shot in a similar manner. Then came the oddities. Ronnie had gone to work after the murders, acted normally, and even joined friends later that day. His timeline unraveled. By the next night, he confessed. "All I could think of was that once I started, I just couldn't stop," he said. But why? That was the question that haunted everyone. Was it drugs? Money? A deep-rooted hatred? The DeFeo household had long been steeped in dysfunction. Ronald Sr. was known as an abusive patriarch, a domineering figure who controlled his family with iron discipline and bursts of fury. Butch, the oldest son, bore the brunt of it. He was already troubled, involved with drugs, often in and out of therapy, volatile and increasingly delusional. Some claimed he heard voices, others said he staged fights for attention. Yet no one expected this. During trial, the defense attempted an insanity plea. Psychiatrist Daniel Schwartz testified that Butch suffered from a dissociative disorder, possibly hearing voices that compelled him to kill. But the prosecution's expert, Dr. Harold Zolan, described DeFeo as a liar with antisocial personality disorder. He wasn't insane, Zolan said. He was angry. Cold. Calculated. Prosecutor Gerard Sullivan delivered the final blow. This wasn't madness. This was murder. In November 1975, Butch was convicted on 6 counts of second-degree murder and sentenced to 6 concurrent terms of 25 years to life. But even as the cell door closed, the story was only beginning. Just over a year later, in December 1975, the house welcomed new residents. George and Kathy Lutz, a couple with 3 children from a previous marriage. They'd purchased the property for a shockingly low price, $80,000, including much of the DeFeo furniture. They believed love could overwrite history. They were wrong. From the moment they moved in, strange things began happening. A chilling cold crept through rooms. Doors slammed by themselves. Green slime oozed from the walls. George, once rational and grounded, became obsessed with the fireplace, feeding its flames compulsively. He woke every morning at 3:15 a.m. the exact time the DeFeo murders had occurred. Their daughter Missy spoke of a pig-like creature named Jody that watched her from outside her window, glowing red eyes peering from the dark. Kathy experienced invisible touches, levitated from her bed, and saw deep impressions of hooves in the snow outside. One night, George claimed to have seen a hooded figure standing at the foot of his bed. Another time, crucifixes on the walls turned upside down. A local priest, Father Ralph Pecoraro, was called in to bless the house. Upon entering the sewing room, once the bedroom of Mark and John, he heard a deep male voice snarl, "Get out." He fled in terror and later reported developing unexplained blisters on his hands. After just 28 days, the Lutzes fled in the dead of night, leaving everything behind. Enter Jay Anson, a writer who compiled the Lutzes' terrifying tale into the Amityville Horror, a true story, published in 1977. The book became a phenomenon, selling millions and inspiring a wave of fascination with haunted houses and demonic possession. By 1979, the story was a major film, and soon, a franchise. The public was hooked. But so were the skeptics. The Warrens, Ed and Lorraine, famed paranormal investigators, visited the house. They claimed it was a portal to hell. In one of the most infamous photos ever taken there, a ghostly child with glowing eyes stared from a bedroom doorway. Lorraine, sensitive to spirits, described an overwhelming malevolence in the basement. "There is something so wrong here," she whispered. But critics weren't convinced. Paranormal researcher Stephen Kaplan began poking holes in the Lutzes' claims almost immediately. He pointed out inconsistencies in their stories, contradictions between their accounts and the book, and a lack of any physical evidence. Father Pecoraro later gave conflicting interviews, once saying he heard a voice, then denying anything unusual. The Diocese of Rockville Center eventually distanced itself, saying there was no record of an official blessing or any involvement. Things took a darker turn when William Weber, Ronald DeFeo Jr.'s former attorney, came forward. He claimed he and the Lutzes had created this horror story over many bottles of wine. He said it was meant to drum up interest in a book deal. The Lutzes sued Weber for invasion of privacy. He countersued for breach of contract. The legal battles continued for years. Still, the Lutzes insisted their experiences were real, though they eventually admitted some elements had been exaggerated by the publishers. In the years that followed, both George and Kathy passed away, still haunted by the house and the skepticism that surrounded their claims. But perhaps the most chilling development came not from outside, but from within the DeFeo family itself. Butch, while imprisoned, changed his story repeatedly. He blamed Dawn. Then said he was possessed. Then claimed a mysterious woman compelled him to kill. In 1990, he even said he and Dawn had planned to kill their parents, but that she then murdered the children, and he killed her in rage. His credibility, already shattered, further eroded. Yet his shifting tales added new layers of mystery, opening the door for conspiracy theorists and ghost hunters alike. Some believe Butch didn't act alone. How could one person shoot 6 family members, some of them strong teens, without a struggle? Why did they all die face down, as if they'd been arranged? Why didn't anyone hear the shots? Others suggest police misconduct, perhaps coercion during confession, or even altered timelines. Could the murder weapon have been tampered with? Why was no gunshot residue found on the victims? Theories flourished. Answers never came. In the decades that followed, the house was sold multiple times. New owners reported no supernatural activity. The iconic eye windows were replaced. The address was changed. The town of Amityville grew weary of the attention, removing the house from tourism brochures and warning off trespassers. Yet the legend endured. In 2005, a remake of the original film reignited interest. Actor Ryan Reynolds, who played George Lutz, claimed strange things occurred during filming, including waking nightly at 3:15 a.m. Critics mocked the film as exploitative, but audiences returned in droves. Later documentaries, like My Amityville Horror, featured Daniel Lutz, the Lutz's son. Now an adult, Daniel recounted his trauma, but with bitterness. He accused George of dabbling in the occult, practicing mind control, and using fear as a weapon. He believed something happened, but not what the book said. And still, the house stands. Quiet. Watching. Remembering. In 2021, Ronald DeFeo Jr. died in prison, alone. He took the truth, whatever it was, with him. Some say the story of Amityville is a hoax. A fabrication built on tragedy. But even if every ghost was a lie, one truth remains unshakable. 6 people died in their sleep. A son killed his entire family. And from that one brutal act, a myth was born. One that would ripple through decades, warping reality, inspiring films, books, exorcisms, debates, and countless nightmares. It is not just the blood that haunts Amityville. It is the question. What if it wasn't just him? What if something in that house wanted them dead? Or worse, what if we wanted it to be haunted, because the truth was too ordinary, too sad, too human? In the end, perhaps the real horror of Amityville isn't ghosts. It's us. You've opened the vault. Not all who do, return the same. Leave your echo behind. With a like, a comment, a whisper shared. And before the flame fades, subscribe.